How are you?
Hello, hello. How are you doing today?
I am fantastic. And of course, it doesn't want to stream. It's not streaming to Instagram. Sorry, guys, if you're watching on Instagram or trying to catch us, you're not hearing me right now. So that's all right.
Yep. We'll be able to share some information later.
Yeah, we will. So I have to ask you a question. Have you ever heard of grounding? Not like when you ground your kids when they're bad, but ground like earthing, grounding type stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm like, ching again is the deal with our streaming service. Oh, well. Anyways, I have to tell you, I have two injuries that I have suffered for a long time. I have a knee injury. I dislocated my knee playing soccer when I was younger. Gives me
Wow.
fits still to this day. And I completely annihilated my ankle when I was pregnant with my son. I had slipped on some ice, fell, and it was just bad news. And
Wow.
so when I get up in the mornings, a lot of times they're really tight and sore, and I kind of like shuffle a little bit like a little old lady. But now I have a grounding mat that I use under my desk, but I don't sit still long enough to keep my feet on it a lot. And it works kind of well, but I was like, I've heard about these grounding mats, like a mattress cover. They have grounding sheets, but they also have a mattress cover that you can get. And I was like, I've got to get this thing.
That's pretty interesting.
Well, I got it and I used it last night and I got up this morning and I like got up and walked normal. I was shocked. I was so shocked. So it's supposed to really help with like inflammation when you have pain, helps blood flow, all that kind of stuff. And I'm telling you, one night and it worked. I am really excited to see how it goes the next several nights.
Yeah, I may try that for
So
sure.
excited. Yeah, it's so yeah, I got it on where did I get it? Earthing.com, I think is where I got it. So and we have no affiliation with them or anything else, but it's just if you're interested, it was I'm telling you, it totally changed my morning. It was so easy to get up and get going this morning. And I felt it throughout the day. I just felt good throughout the day. So it was awesome. So, but
That's
man, here we are.
fantastic.
We're almost at the end of the year. Can you believe this?
Yes.
How
Yeah.
fast has it gone?
It's been pretty fast. It's hard to believe, in fact. This year has flown by. And to be honest with you, I think this is one of my favorite time to do some reflection and preparing myself for start fresh new year. And I think it's also for some people as well. But I think it's really a good timing for us to talk about the year end checkup
No,
and
I
how we're
agree.
going
I
to
love
work on that.
doing it. Do. So, today, that's what we're going to do. We are going to share a whole bunch of wonderful things with our listeners. We are going to offer some reflection questions. These are things that you can kind of ask yourself. We're going to give a bunch of practical tips. And at the very end, we're going to have a really fun activity that we love to do to get everybody ready for 2025. So, anybody that's listening, whether it's on the live or the replay or anything else, grab a notebook, grab your favorite note app, whatever it is, because this episode is going to be packed full of information for you.
Yep, that's absolutely true. I think you agree as well to me that this is a perfect time for a personal audit because it
Mhm.
really gives us time to sit down, to reflect. And for some people, I don't know if many people, but for some people, they sometimes don't know where to start or what to
Right.
do. So that's exactly what we try to do. We're going to try to talk about some best practices to make this year-end checkup more meaningful and really take advantage of this period of the year.
Exactly. And I think that one of the most important practices that you can do about this is to just be really intentional because it isn't something that you can just like squeeze in while you're multitasking or, hurry and rush through in like 10 minutes. You're actually going to need to set aside some dedicated time and then create the right environment for it to do it properly.
That is true. For me, it's very important so I can have the right setting, the right space, and the right time. And I
Yeah.
can tell you, sometimes it gets a little difficult to work on that time. I remember during the summer, I kind of took a sabbatical because my kids went away, and I was
Oh,
able
yeah.
to do it, and it was fantastic. So this time, I'm trying to do something similar. I
Mhm.
wouldn't necessarily know if I would have the advantage, but at least I wanted to separate space and time so I can do that. Maybe by that time, bring my journal, some paper, be in a relaxed area, and
Yeah.
ask myself some guiding questions that will help me to reflect on that. And that's something that also that our audience can benefit from if they can implement something similar.
No, exactly. And I think questions is actually a really great place to start because it kind of puts your mind in the process of thinking things instead of just having open-ended thoughts of like, where do I go? So you can ask yourself all kinds of things like, thinking about this past year, what went well this year? Because then those are things that you can build on and continue to do. But then you can also ask yourself, like, what challenges did I face? And did I grow from them? Or, was it too big of a challenge? Something I like to do, because a lot of times we get really down on ourselves, is to say, what am I most proud of? What did I accomplish that I'm really, really proud of? And then where do I see room for improvement? Because that's important to touch on also, because you don't want to give up on something that you're really, really working toward.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I remember in my case that I always focus most of the time on lesson learned,
Yes.
not focusing on the winning section, and both things
Yes.
are important. So we wanted to see those like a good structure, give key
Mhm.
areas that help people reflect more life in a holistically way. So
Yes.
not just focusing one specific, because then it creates some burden on you and you
Yep.
don't celebrate your wins. So even what areas do you think could be important to include in a year-end checkup?
Well, like you, I like to have a holistic approach about it. And so I consider the main areas that I do for myself are I work on health, both physical and mental, and then financial. But
Okay.
that's not limited to what anybody else can do, because for somebody else, they might want to include relationships and, reflect on that, how to build them, change them, whatever, your career or your business, whatever other points in your life that are important to you that you can focus on. It's a very personal experience.
Yeah, that's true. And the important thing is that we can see in all the areas that we understand that we can have some winnings, learns, and
Mhm.
areas for improvement. So if
Yeah.
that's the case, we can start with mental health, because
Yes.
we both think that our mental health is the foundation of everything in our life.
Right.
And I would like to kick with one question. How do you describe your emotional well-being this year in just one word?
Oh, one word.
Yeah.
That's really hard.
I know.
Well, and it's hard for a lot of reasons. One, because our lives are so multifaceted, but it also just really forces us to be honest with ourselves, and that can be really difficult. But if I think about it, I say for me it was growth. I did not have a perfect year, not by far, but I really worked on stepping hard of my comfort zone, and like removing my invisibility cloak. I'm very much an introvert, as you know, if you have watched any of the other episodes. It's something I've talked about before, but here I am doing a podcast, so I have
Yeah,
worked really hard on that.
that's really good one. I love that word. In my case, would be intentional.
Like that too.
This year, I think I have deeply studied a lot about intentionality. I had several mastermind that I taught this year, and it was
Yes,
about 15 invaluable laws of growth.
love
And
that.
the first chapter is about intentionality. And I with that, I even remind myself sometimes every time that I mention that word, it takes me to how intentional I have to be with my growth and dedicated time to the things that are meaningful. So I think if I have to talk about not just in my in my mental health, but in many areas of my life, has been intentionality.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, now listeners, I want you to think about your word, and it's going to be really easy to go to the negative first, and it's okay. We tend to do that because it's just easier, especially if you've been dwelling in your negative for a while. But let's try to go a little bit deeper and then ask yourself, what were the biggest challenges to my mental health this year? If you're tending to lean toward the negative, and figure out, was the stress at work? Was it because you were juggling too many responsibilities, or did you feel isolated? Because I know for myself, that's a big one for me. Being an introvert, I do isolate myself a lot. Anything that I have to recognize and really work on and see how far you've come, like I did, doing a podcast. But, try to recognize that to see how far you have come, even if at the moment you're thinking about, you're like, I haven't come very far at all. You might be surprised if you look at from the beginning of the year to where you are right now, how far you really have come.
Yeah, I love that one. And once you have pinpoint your challenges, maybe the next step is to understand what tools or habits help me
Mm,
cope or help me in order to grow in my process. So if I use those tools, I will continue growing. So that's one of
exactly.
the things that also that will help us to understand with those challenges, what tools are supposed to help me go. But another important thing is, what was one thing that I did this year that really brought peace or joy in my life? I think that's also very important because,
It is.
like I was mentioned before, sometimes we're focusing on the negative side, like you mentioned that, but also let's focusing on the positive side. What bring me joy? What bring us peace? Or any type of amusement that you understand that give value to your life.
No, it is. It's really powerful to try and, focus on what brought you peace or joy because, well, first of all, you definitely want to build on that. But, if I think about it for myself, like this last year, I really focused, just on focusing things in my life that I could change instead of things that I couldn't. And that actually brought me a lot of peace because if you're always trying to change the things you can't, it's a struggle,
Yeah.
you're always frustrated. So if you
Yes.
focus on those things that you can control, that you can change and things like that, and then work on building those to be better, it's kind of life-changing.
Yep. And exactly the main thing is that when we're talking about mental health, that reflects in any other area of your life. That's why it's so
Mhm.
important that we can have mental clarity, because in some of the things that we can do, a few things is that, for example, we have to reflect in our wins and lesson learned. So we have to write down the things that we are proud of, or the thing this year that we learn something.
Yeah.
Also, we have to set boundaries, not for the
So hard.
holidays. And we talk about that since the first episode.
Yes. Well,
It's
because
very,
it's so important, obviously
yes,
hugely important. We keep bringing it up.
yes. It's very important that we set boundaries, especially in the holidays now that could be hectic. So we
Yes.
have to decide what we wanted to say yes and what we wanted to say no to.
Yes.
And that gives you some sort of freedom, and you can use that time to use in the things that are more meaningful for you.
Agreed.
Another thing is that we can create a let it go list. Write down all those things that you're ready for release. Could be a stress, guilt, grudges. And some people even take it a step further and they write it down and they burn it and
Yes.
discard it. So those are, because you take it from your mind and you put it in a physical word when you write it down, and then it goes away. But one important thing that I would like to mention is, if you haven't if you didn't do any work on your mental health this year, don't stress out. It's a good
Yes.
time to reflect, think, and pay attention. What are the things that I can do differently next year? And that's very important, that we don't dwell on the past, but we going forward, we focus what we can do better.
No, I love that idea because, like we've said several times, it's easy to be hard on yourself. But I love doing this to think about what you can do next year because it's like giving yourself permission to start fresh. And I
Yes.
and I think that's really kind of a cool idea. All
Yep.
right. So we talked about mental health. We got the basis going. So let's shift into the financial health. This time of year, everybody's talking about money. It's and at the end of the year is a fantastic time to also really focus and do an audit on your money habits, and that way it gives you an opportunity to plan for the coming year and the things that you want to do.
That is so true. Because the difference between the financial aspect and other areas of your life is that this is very tangible. You can see in your bank
Yes.
account, and in an asset that you acquire is very tangible. So it's easy to measure, but it's also to feel that I'm not doing it very good.
Right.
So I think one of the first things that we have to think about is, what were my biggest financial wins this year?
Yeah.
And like you see, we're starting from the positive side. What is
Yes.
your biggest win? And then we continue digging into the things that are not necessarily. So we can think about, if you were stuck to your budget, start investing, pay the debt, buy the house. Those are the type of things that we can consider here.
Yeah, exactly. And if you didn't hit all your goals, it's okay because it really has been a tough couple of years for for a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yes.
So, the key though is to think about what worked and what didn't. So, like if you had a goal that you wanted to save, say $500 a month, but it just felt impossible or it's something you couldn't do, you can adjust it down to like $200 or even, $50 if that's the best you can do. It doesn't have to be a huge large amount. The important thing is to just start and then stay consistent with it.
You
Save
said a big
goals.
word.
Have
Yes.
goals.
Stay consistent. That's very important because that creates discipline in our brain. So
Mm.
what do you think about the hidden expenses? those one that we have, our favorite habit that we recommend. What things that we can do that we can implement for the end of the year?
One thing that I really love to pay attention to, and it's because I just did this, is to review your subscriptions. Because it is really, really shocking to find out how many people are paying for subscriptions and services that they don't even use or use very little. Like I said, I just kind of did this, and sorry, I'm cold in here tonight, so I'm a little shivery. Yeah, I
I
actually
was
felt
gonna
that I had, well, we had snow for my birthday, and then it heated up, and now it was like 60 today, and it's going to be 20 tomorrow. So the temperatures have taken a nosedive, and I didn't turn my heat up, so it's cold in my office. So I'm sorry, guys, if I'm shivering. But anyways, back to the target here. I just did this, looking at my subscriptions, and I found out that I actually had some double subscriptions. And how I found these, it's really interesting because I'm not sure a lot of people are aware of this. Say, for example, like you have Walmart Plus or Amazon Prime. They offer a lot of streaming services for free or at high discount. So you might be like, perfect. Walmart Plus is a perfect example. I have Paramount Plus directly through Paramount. I'm subscribing through them. But I realized that through my Walmart Plus subscription, I get free Paramount Plus.
Okay.
So, and Amazon Prime has some of those too. They have some subscription services that you can get really cheap or for free through Amazon also. So, if you go through those, do an audit on subscriptions, I think that's a great, great, great way to start and figure out where you're spending money that didn't even realize.
That it is true. It's something that I'm going to implement, that exercise, because I remember last year I was able to do some verification, and I was able to find a few bucks here and there that was able to go back in my pocket. So
Yeah.
I think it's not just about streaming services. We can check everything. For example, gym subscription, things that you can maybe switch to another provider. Also, subscription
Yep.
for books, boxes for food, club and gaming subscriptions, and also your
Yes.
kids stuff. Pay
Yes.
attention to those things, because when they add up little by little.
Yes. So, y'all know that I love research and I'm a bit of a nerd. So, here's a nerd alert. Something that I found is that the average consumer pays nearly $1,000 a year in subscription services. $1,000. That's
That's a
a
lot of
lot of
money.
money.
Yeah.
And especially if once you go through it and you realize there's a lot of things you're not using. And when I talk about subscriptions, I'm not just talking about, your streaming services. It is, when was the last time you went to the gym that you've been paying for? Stuff like that.
Yes.
There's a lot of money there.
Yeah.
So I do have a quick checklist for all the listeners. So take notes if you're taking notes. If not, just come back and watch this on a repeat or something. It's really important if you're wanting to get your finances in order to check your credit report. Okay. You want to look at it, make sure that everything on it is accurate, and dispute anything that is an error. That is a great basis place to start. And if you're not sure how you can get a free credit report, contact us, email us, put something in chat. Go to our Facebook page, whatever, ask us how to do that. We will let you know. Matter of fact, let me do. I'm terrible here. Wasn't even checking chat just to see. You never know. Doesn't look like we have any right now. But let me see. Nope, not yet. Those are ways you can contact us. We'll let you know how to get a free credit report. Also, check your savings rate. Like we were talking about before, $500 a month is too much. Bring it down to what you can afford. But what you really want to aim for, overall, not today if you can't, but is at least 20% of your income. And you need to evaluate that often, because what if you got a raise or a promotion or paid off some debt? You might be able to save more. So instead of letting that money just sit there and be tempted to spend, make sure you're reevaluating that maybe at least every quarter, if not every month, to see what else you can start putting away, either to save or invest. Also, plan for your taxes early and max out contributions when you can.
Yes.
And the reason why I say gather your tax information early is because I remember one year I was in a hurry to get all of my stuff to my CPA. And if you are an entrepreneur, I really hope you have a good CPA. They can save you so much money. You're like, I don't want to spend $200 on a CPA. They can save you thousands of dollars. I'm telling you right now, get a good one. But one year I was trying to gather all my stuff, and I was in a hurry. It was getting close to the tax deadline. And I submitted all of my stuff. And I realized when I came home that I had forgotten about a $6,000 income. And so I had to, resubmit it to my CPA, which then cost me more
That's
money
it.
because
Yep.
they had to redo. So, plan for those taxes early. You just organized. Stay organized. And again, double check your budget as often as you can. See where you can save some money and maybe even, tackle debt more effectively, because as you pay down one debt, then you can snowball it and start paying down others.
Yeah, I love that, especially with the one that you mentioned about check your saving rate. And if we can put it automatically, even better, because we don't see that
Agreed,
much.
100%. That is a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
In a
I
high
think also,
yield savings account.
yes, just saying. And one other thing that I think is very important, just because we come back talking about mind, our health, mental health, it's our mindset around money. We have to
Yeah.
reflect on our financial footprint. And I remember uh, reading in the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind from Art Ecker. He talks about your financial blueprint. It's about the patterns that you have, your behavior
Yes.
or psychological aspect that make you struggle around money. So we need to ask ourselves, how how do I behave around money? How do I feel with my
Yes.
finances this year? I feel empowered, I feel stressed, I feel overwhelmed, and those type of things help you understand your behavior, and then you can use that to reinforce the different habits that you can do so you can have better habits, in fact.
No, that's a huge and a great point, because your mindset can be just as important as your bank balance, because often your mindset plays a big role in your bank balance. Spending
Yes.
anybody?
Yep.
I mean,
Yes.
you know, scarcity
Yep.
mindset, all of that really
Yeah,
plays into your bank balance.
that is so true. Yeah. So let's talk about physical health.
Ugh,
And here we're not talking about weight or exercise, which it's a part of that. You can take that in consideration. But also we wanted to talk about your energy health.
yes.
How is your energy level in this year? And you can evaluate that. So how do you feel? So can you ask yourself, how has been my energy level during 2024? How's been yours?
Yeah. Well, this is a conversation. First of all, get a grounding sheet. I'm telling you, it makes all the difference. But it's a really good point. It's a really good point, because mine has not been good. And some of it's pain, some of it's stress. It was all kinds of things. But I know for me that if I'm not eating right, and especially if I'm not sleeping enough, my energy and attitude just tank. I don't have I don't have a good one of either. I don't have good sleep. I don't have a good attitude. So sleep is enormous. It
Yeah.
affects everything. And aside to go from energy,
Yep.
it's wow.
Yeah. I can say that my energy has been sometimes up and down. In fact,
Mhm.
I put on my calendar that I view every day, I start checking my energy level, my mood, how
Oh,
was
I like
the
that. I
different day.
haven't done that. I really
And
like
it
that.
really it gave me awareness, and it helped me identify certain period of my month that I was in a different state, that I said, okay, I have to manage this. And
Yes.
one thing that, like you mentioned, for me, my sleep, if I don't sleep correct, I think that takes me, my day is
Yes.
completely different. So what's your behavior or issue? What was causing your energy to be low? So that's one of the things that we need to ask ourselves. Think about why, and then was it because of poor sleep,
Mhm.
stress, lack of movement, and then we have to take it from there.
Or was it all of the above? I know for me,
Yes.
sometimes it's all of the above.
Yeah. It's true.
So if once you get to that point, you start to realize, why is my energy low and all of that. Then you can, again, look to the positive. So here's a fun reflection. What is one healthy habit that you started this year that you're proud of?
Oh, yeah. I can tell you mine.
Yeah.
Yes, I increased my intake of protein.
Mm,
I was having a physical coach during the summer, and one of the things that he was teaching me how to eat better. And I think it's a small thing,
yes.
but it makes a significant difference on my eating habit. And
Huge.
the other thing is that I has been very intentional again about my sleeping time. So I'm trying to
Yes.
go on time because I have to wake up very early. And I think that has been helping me to balance my energy level throughout this
Yeah.
year.
Again, another good place for consistency is sleep, and I am terrible about that. So, but one thing that I did that I'm really proud of, and I used to do this all the time, and it made a huge difference in my life. And I don't know why I got away from it because it was just such a good habit to have. And it's meal prepping. I know a lot of people are thinking, oh my God, I don't want to spend 3 hours a day meal prepping. But that could mean, like for me, it saved me a lot of time in the long run. And it kept me from ordering takeout because there was a while when I was really busy and stressed where having food that was already prepared would have been a fantastic idea instead of becoming friends with my DoorDash delivery person. So,
Yes.
it really does save you time and then it ultimately saves your health.
Yes. I can tell you that there's few things that we can do in this aspect in terms of health. One thing, obviously, if you can implement exercising and those type of things, it really helps you. But some basic things that you can start, and we can start small and then continue grow throughout the time. It's schedule your checkups. Make sure that you go to physical, dentist, and any overdue appointment because we have to take care of our body. Another thing is that start one small habit. It could be even drinking X amount of glass of water, walking 10 minutes a
Mm,
day,
yep.
anything that you understand that can give you in the routine so you can do the right thing. Another thing is reflect on movement. And I think that's a big one for me
Yes.
because we don't necessarily need to stick on what everybody's doing. If,
Right.
for example, I was talking to my coach and said, I know that lifting weight is cool and I wanted to have a beautiful legs, but I really disconnect when I go and I swim. That's when
Yes.
I stress relief. Or if I go and I walk, or I do something like that in nature. I hate
Oh,
the
yeah.
treadmill. I hate it.
Me too.
So when he puts me 20 minutes, it's 20 minutes. Oh my God. So find things that you enjoy and but
Yes.
make sure that you move your body. I think those are good things that we can do.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree with that. Movement is enormous. So I know that when we started, we were talking about, having a holistic approach to all of this. A few other subjects that I really want to just briefly touch on, to kind of get you in that mindset that it doesn't have to just consist of physical, mental, health and finances. Let's also talk about relationships, whether it's personal or professional, because there are things that you can think about in terms of improving your relationships in the coming year if that's an area that you really want to work on. Think about, and again, this is a hard time to be honest with yourself when you're thinking about relationships, but one thing that you can think about is, did you really show up for other people, especially the way that you would want them to show up for you?
Yeah.
Did you nurture meaningful connections with them? That whole, treat people
Yeah.
how you want to be treated. And did you communicate openly with them, or did you let conflicts linger and then you start to build resentment? If you really want
Oh,
to work on your relationships, these are some of the things you're going to have to consider.
yeah. I love that one because in reality, we're people of relationships. So another one that I think it's really important, it's business or career.
Yeah.
And we can consider, for example, what were the milestone that you hit this 2024?
Yeah.
Did you grow in your role that you were doing if you have a job, or what new skill did you develop, or even what new relationships did you develop at work? Because if not, if you haven't done it, then ask yourself why haven't I grown here, and am I stuck professionally? So ask yourself those questions that trigger you to go deeper and understand not just what you did, but also give you guidance to where you're supposed to go.
Yeah. That's huge because we spend so much time at our job or career that you really want to have it a good place to be and a place that you want to be.
Yes.
So, and the last one I want to add, it just kind of rolls everything in together of that we've talked about. And it's the idea of personal growth and then fun.
Oh, yes.
Did you invest in yourself at all throughout the year? And you could do it in so many ways, whether you are learning new things or having new experiences. And then did you make time for having some joy? A lot of us
Yeah.
put that off. And then you realize that life is really short and you're like, what am I going to, you're a grandmother and your kids or grandkids are coming up to you and they're like, oh, grandma, what'd you do when you were young? Well, I worked a
Yes.
lot.
Yeah.
Life isn't all about the goals. It's not. Sometimes you just have to pause and enjoy the journey. That whole stop and smell the roses situation. that's actually what your life is made up of. It's not how much time you spent at work. My
That's
2 cents.
true. Yeah, that's true. Because and that's why we wanted to bring you a well-rounded approach.
Yeah.
When you reflect in all these areas, you can see what I have grown, yes, and also you know where you focus next. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, no, it totally is, because it's hard for us to remember that it's not about perfection, it's about progress, because a lot of times if we don't get it perfect, we want to stop. But you
You
need to
know?
just keep going.
Yes, you know, that was my word of this year was progress to
Yeah,
combat perfection. So I said, okay, progress. It doesn't matter if it, even if I mess up, I just have to do it and continue. And
right.
it has helped significantly to keep
But I
me
mean,
focused.
you're
Yeah,
not trying, you're not messing up, because that's part of it. If you're not going to grow if you don't
yeah,
try.
exactly.
So, I think sometimes we can be just really, really hard on ourselves, especially when we look back on the year and you're like, I gained weight or I lost a job or whatever. But you need to really focus on your wins and accomplishments to keep moving forward and not get suckered into my life sucks, because we do that too easily to ourselves.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes we are very hard on ourselves. That's why we have to celebrate the wins,
Yes.
big or small. It's a way that we can build confidence and we can build motivation. And it reminds us that we are resilient and also the progress that we have made. And if things didn't go exactly as we planned, then we can take it from there and fix it. And coming from a person that I tell you, I used to always looking at the lesson learned and the opportunity for improvement, the fact of start celebrating the small things, it gave me that confidence to continue investing my time on the things that I need to work on growing.
Yes. It's good. It's good. It's easier to do when you're looking at how you've grown than to think what you didn't.
Yeah.
But all of this brings us to our favorite year-end tradition, and it's called 3 Wins and a Wish.
Da, 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 da. This is so good
I love this.
because, yes, this is a simple exercise that you just write one one thing of one of the different areas that we talk about,
Mhm.
of all the different financial health or physical fun. You write one thing that you feel that you have a win there. Just share one win in that area, and you decide to pick one wish, a goal or an intention for next year.
Mhm.
You can do in any, you can put as many as you want, but
Mhm.
the good thing is that puts you in reflection mode to
Yep.
go and find those one thing.
Yeah.
So that's the exercise that we're going to play today.
Yeah. And for time purposes, we're gonna stick to, you're each gonna do 3 of the 6.
Yes.
So for me, I'm gonna start. My financial win is I got more involved in my investing, and it just really made a huge difference in my portfolio. I do have, managed assets, but when you get involved in it yourself, it can really make a difference. My mental health win is that I took a lot more breaks from social media. It really helped me focus. It kept me grounded, and kept me in reality. Because I love social media for certain things, but I just really think in a lot of cases, as you heard me last week, it's just kind of gotten out of hand in a lot of circumstances, and it can really lead to a lot of comparison issues, when you start to think about your life compared to everybody else you see.
That's
Um, for my physical win, I bought a vibration plate. Now that might be people might be going, "Ooh, what's a vibration plate?" It's actually a really big plate. Um, it almost looks like maybe in the 90s when everybody used to do like step aerobics. It kind of looks like a step block, but it vibrates. And it vibrates in a whole bunch of different frequencies. And it's just really, really cool because it helps with lymphatic drainage. Or like when you work out and you get lactic acid buildup and you get really sore, it actually helps relieve that. It just does all kinds of things. I love it. It is fantastic.
it's great.
So for my wish, for my intentions and goal for next year, I kind of cheated. I did more than one, but I
Oh,
have a few ideas that I want to work. I know, but the main one is I really want to prioritize sleep, because I think a lot of what I feel and go through in my life is due to lack of sleep. So I need to stop letting FOMO rule my life. I'm like a 2-year-old when it comes to sleep. I don't want to miss anything. So I don't want to go to sleep. But probably actually more important than that is I just want to really get deeper in my Bible. I got some new Bible study things coming in that I'm really excited about to dive into. That's huge. And then I need to start drinking more water. So all of those are very attainable. They're not huge, different goals that I can work on at the same time, but those are really what I need to do.
Those are amazing. Yeah. So my term in terms of relationship, I has been very intentional working on my influence in certain environments in my life, and I think I have seen good progress on that. And in terms of say no in a good way or not now, that is giving me more freedom, and that's a win that I need to continue working on that. But I think
Yes.
it has been showed significant progress. The
Mhm.
other one is in business and career. One great thing about this year is this podcast. At the beginning of the year, I put it on my vision board, which I never thought that it was going to become a reality so soon. So I think this is really good, and this is something that I have been thinking about for quite some time. In fun, personal growth and fun, I decided fun. One great thing that I did this year was to hike to Pico Duarte, and it was with my family. And I decided
Beautiful.
I wanted to do that since I was in college. And I thought I was not physically ready at that time. I don't know who told me that I was going to be ready a year later, but yes. But this time I have the right mindset. I suffer
Yeah,
a lot, but it was amazing time
I love it.
experiencing just nature and disconnected from the world. So I love it, and I wanted to do it again.
I remember seeing
And
those pictures.
yes.
Beautiful pictures.
And one wish that I wanted to do this year, I wanted to be more consistent in the use of my calendar. I wanted
Smart.
to stick to that to be able to use my time in a more meaningful way.
It's very smart. Very smart.
Those are my
And
things.
I just realized that in case anybody's wondering why I keep looking over here, is when you're the person that's in charge of the streaming service, you have a million things going on your screen. And we're here in the front, but we're also over here. So I keep
Yep.
looking at Indira over here. So if everybody's like, why does she keep looking over down to the side? It's because I see her lovely face in a couple different places, and I'm just looking at her.
It was
Anyway,
me last week.
that's how you listeners will probably be able to tell who is in charge of the service during the week, because we're going to be looking in weird places for
Yeah,
the control panel.
for sure.
Anyways, just in case it was distracting anybody, I figured I'd say something. But for all of you listeners, it is your turn now. It's your turn to think about your 3 wins and a wish. And we would love it if you would share them on social media. Go ahead and tag us, like we've said before. You can put it on our Facebook page, the Find Your Wise Podcast Facebook page, or just for your own joy, put it out there and encourage your friends to do it. It'll allow you to celebrate how far you've come this year. And like I said, if you tag us, we would love to do that with you and just really hype you up. But it also gets you really excited for what's ahead and what you have to look forward to.
That is so true. And we wanted to give you all these things because we wanted that you take some time for reflection.
Yes.
So you can reflect on 2024, because reflection is a gift that we provide to ourselves. It's a
Yeah.
chance to pause, honor our journey, and also set intention for what's next. So we have to take the time and dedicate it to ourselves so we can go deeper and reflect and use those things so we can become stronger, because we are worthy. You're worthy. So it's good to do it.
Absolutely. And then keep in mind and remember, 2025 is a blank page. It has not happened yet. So you can
Yep.
use what you've learned in this last year, write it down, and realize that the next chapter, that you are totally in control and you can go into it with purpose and clarity and just excitement. It's all about what you get to create new.
Yes, that is so true. I love about the blank page,
Me
because
too.
the blank page give you the image that you can do whatever you decided to put your mind to.
Exactly.
So we hope that this episode helped you to really focus on yourself, close the year with intention, and step on 2025 with confidence. So we hope this is really useful for you. We're going to apply some of the things that we said today. So we're going to tell you next
Absolutely.
episode.
Yes. Thank you all so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the podcast. And also share your wins and wishes with us online, and anybody else who can see it. Encourage others to do it. Make sure you join us next week on Wednesday, we are going to move into the next step of making 2025 your best year yet, because talk about setting goals and how to make them stick. It's going to be a really exciting episode, guys. We'll see you then.
Perfect. See you then. Bye.
Bye.